Shalom, everybody. Rav Shmuel, Rabbi Stephen Epstein here, Rashbi, with you with this week's Torah portion. So it's been quite a week, quite a month for me. I hope you folks are doing well and happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was pleasant. Hope you enjoyed being with your family. You know, family seems to take on a whole new meaning for a lot of us. It's not just your blood relations, but it's extensions of those blood relations. And as time goes on, you kind of find out just who your family members really are. Sometimes your family members are not related to you. Sometimes you discover family members you didn't know you have. You've heard my story about my daughter, and it's really kind of opened up my eyes for me to have just such an extension of family. And I say that because you never know where things are going in life. We make our plans, and a lot of things happen. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. When they're good, you enjoy it, you relish in it. You figure, hey, that's good. When things are bad, it's sometimes can be a test of faith. Now, in Judaism, we use the term faith, but it means something, I think, a little different than what other people think. It's not just believing just because, but rather it's because you've seen certain things. And when you see certain things, you just kind of know what's going on. Take our people, for example. Okay. You take where we at right now. We're coming up to Joseph, faith, right? And in this portion, and we're going to get into it a little bit more, Joseph is Jacob's favorite, even though he's not the firstborn. He's the firstborn of Rachel, but he's not the firstborn. Reuben is. And he's studying with his father. The other brothers are out in the fields. And yet it's Joseph that goes through all these tribulations, these trials, these bad times. He ends up a slave. And then for 2 years, he ends up in prison for 12 years. And then all of a sudden, because of his prophecies, and we're going to talk about that today, he's catapulted into second in command of Egypt. So you don't know where life's going to take you. So did Joseph have faith? Yes, because he saw how God acted. And he knew, as did a lot of other patriarchs, know that God tends to come through in the end, even though we have our tests of character. Abraham, at the age of 75, instead of retiring and enjoying his golden years, God says, get up, start walking, I'll tell you when to stop. And he does it, right? Isaac has these two sons, um, is told not to go to Egypt, has these issues with people hitting on his wife, right? As Abraham did. Okay. And the son that he thought was the better son turns out not to be so better. So imagine his disappointment, right? And Jacob ends up leaving Rebecca's favorite son because he was into Torah. And she doesn't get to spend time with him in adulthood. But look what happened to Jacob. He was Israel, and he was the beginning of our heritage. So a lot of times you just don't know. You just kind of have to go along, deal with situations as they are. Sure, we have our doubts, but sometimes you look back on what's happened before and you can use that to bring you through what's going on now. Somebody said it best: God brought you to it, God will bring you through it. So, okay. So let's talk about Joseph. Let's talk about this crazy Parsha. It's a crazy Parsha. The more I look into this stuff, the more I think it's all out there. And here's what I get. Okay, so Joseph is the son of Rachel. Rachel has died, okay? And the only memory of Rachel now, aside from the usual, the only thing he has of Rachel, Jacob does, is Joseph, his son. And he's sitting there studying Torah, okay? And you look at Joseph, out of all of the sons that Jacob has, and they're pretty much all here, okay? We've got Benjamin now because Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin, was going to be Ben Ani, the son of my sorrow, but Jacob didn't want the kid to go through life that way, so he renamed him Benjamin, son of my people. And now, out of all the sons, he's got the gift of prophecy. Joseph has these dreams, and he can tell what's going to happen. He can tell what's going on, what's going to happen. And what does he do with his gift? Well, the kid's 17. He's a snot-nosed little kid, a spoiled brat, kind of rubs it in his brothers and even his father and mother's face that they're all going to bow down to him. Turns out he was right, but there are ways to do things and there are ways to not do things. And obviously, this wasn't the right way. Gift of prophecy accepted, because what happens? The brothers end up selling him off to Egypt, and he doesn't see his family for a number of years. So where did that gift of prophecy get him? It's like any superpower. You can use it for good, you can use it for evil, you can use it properly, you can use it improperly. And Joseph learned that lesson the hard way, but he learned his lesson. That's the key here. He learned his lesson. Isn't it interesting, though, that he was the second youngest son, right? After he was the youngest until Benjamin came along. But with the youngest son, he's the one that got that gift. Why did the other sons get the gift? What are we called today? We're called Jews because of Judah, because we are the biggest surviving tribe. Yes, you had the tribe of Levi, those are the Levites, and you actually had remnants of the tribe of Benjamin mixed in with the tribe of Judah, but it is today called Judaism, and we are called Jews, Judeans. Okay? So isn't it interesting how these things go back and forth? And it's kind of a paradox. Did the other brothers have any prophecy? Did they maybe not use it? Why was Joseph given that gift by God? Look how God works. Jacob was the one that studied Torah, and yet he came out second. He had to go through all that hassle to get his legacy, to get his birthright, and take it basically from Esau, who would have wasted it away. We can see that with what he did. And Esau didn't end up too bad either. I mean, come on. He's coming after Jacob. He got 400 men. That's quite an accomplishment. And when Jacob says, I've got all these gifts for you, Esau's like, well, I don't need it. Now, that's what they did back in those days. In the Middle East, that's what they do. No, I don't need it. Oh, well, if you insist, I'll take it. That's, it's kind of a nice way of accepting a gift without, oh yeah, great, anymore where that came from, you kind of don't do that. Okay. So we look at this and we look at how things have to play out. Now, the brothers go ahead, and where was their righteousness? Okay, Reuben was not there when he ends up being sold. Brothers are jealous. They want to do away with him. Judah says, no, we're not going to do that. Let's just sell him, or let's whatever. Okay? So ignore these things. I'm not really sure what we've got here, but I've got lower hands, and I think it's reading my gestures. I'm going to have to change that, and I apologize for it. Okay, I'll just leave my hands here. I'm very expressive with my hands. I apologize. So Judah doesn't want to see him killed. Judah's got a conscience. And as we will see what Judah does, he acts very righteously. So you wonder, with all the tribes, where is the tribe of Joseph today? If Joseph was such a prophet, what happened to his people? What happened to his tribe? They reverted to idolatry. And you have to ask yourself, if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and Joseph had this gift of prophecy, Ephraim and Manasseh, the two half tribes, he even had two half tribes. That's quite an honor, right? Not just one, but it's two in one. Think about it. So it's really a shame that, these people with their heritage didn't hold true to Torah. Even though Joseph's father, Jacob, who favored him, right? He was an Ishtam. He was a simple person that liked to hang out in the tents, which is like the study halls, as opposed to Esau, all right? So, and then you look at Jacob and Esau. They came from the same place, same genes. Apparently, it's one got the good genes, one got the bad genes or something or whatever. Okay. So the point is when we have to look at life, you kind of have to stay true to your roots. Sometimes you have to push yourself a little bit and you have to really extend yourself and just accept everything that happens in life as a challenge and understand that God's looking out for us. It's tough sometimes, I know, when you have a relative or somebody or something really horrible happens, okay? But sometimes you just kind of have to go with it and do your best and see that it works out. Okay, that's my message. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah. For those of you that don't observe Hanukkah, I hope your holidays are fruitful and peaceful and you enjoy them. And thank you, as always, for listening.